Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Nathaniel.
Welcome to the show, Nathaniel. This is our 100th episode, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, and give our thoughts on the series Hawkeye, which is now finished up on Disney+. Before we get into that, we'd like to take a look back at some of our greatest moments from the last 100 episodes. Anyway, Spider-Man No Way Home is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, stars Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and features the return of some of his greatest villains from the past movies, including, but not limited to, Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, last seen in 2002's Spider-Man, Rhys Ifans as the Lizard, really obscure one there from The Amazing Spider-Man back in 2012, Thomas Hayden Church as the Sandman from Spider-Man 3 back in 2007, and of course Alfred Molina as Doc Ock from 2004's Spider-Man 2.
You also forgot Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Yes, they actually made that character worthwhile.
They did.
Last appeared in 2014's Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I'm not just here to talk about my Spider-Man trivia knowledge. What were your thoughts?
Well, I grew up watching the Maguire films. I love them to death. And so I'm used to J.K. Simmons going around saying, "Get me more pictures of Spider-Man, damn it!" With this one, I walked out with the thoughts of, "Get me more villains of Spider-Man!"
Villains or films?
Both.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's the first time we've had more than one villain in a Spider-Man movie that's actually worked.
Since... Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
The previous ones didn't work too well.
No, they did not.
You don't think the symbiote worked?
There was too much happening in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
Basically, this is a smorgasbord for Spider-Man film fans. You know, if you've been watching these films for, 20 years at this point, you know, you can go into this one and just revel in it. It's very fan-servicey, but is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
I think it's a bit of both. They definitely do it well. It's just sometimes they feel like there's a little bit too much.
I found fan service can be good. I haven't seen No Way Home yet, but I've definitely found that fan service can be good in moderation. Like you gotta pick and choose what fan service to include. I've found that in the past.
This one genuinely felt like a Spider-Man adventure. The last couple of ones have felt like Iron Man sloppy seconds.
I wonder if anyone who is unfamiliar with the other movies will go into this one. I mean, of course, you know, there's talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're like 30 films deep at this point.
I mean, I went in this without having seen The Amazing Spider-Mans, and I was able to pick up pretty good.
You did say that you sort of wish you had, because I feel there is an emotional resonance there for those who have been there all the time, or even just seen these, you know, the day before going to see it in the cinemas. But yeah, I do sort of wonder if this is going to make sense or have any sort of, you know, relevance to anyone who hasn't seen the other Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. But it's a great film all around, and it's definitely probably one of the best ways to cap off a trilogy. I mean, that's how you get it done. Stalls.
Yeah, this was like the most anticipated movie of the year.
It was.
And of course, I mean, the film's been out for a week now, so there's kind of the worst kept secret of Hollywood is as to whether or not certain cast members were going to be in this movie. We're not going to spoil and say directly whether they were or not.
Nope.
But basically, like I said, worst kept secret.
I would like to acknowledge that, yes, the rumor is true of Matt Murdock's return the role being replaced by Charlie Cox.
Yeah,
in the Netflix series.
The lead character of the Daredevil series on Netflix, which was put into flux for some reason. You know, it was created with the intention of it being a tie-in to the movies, and then they said, "Oh, we don't like Netflix anymore, so who knows?" And people have just been waiting a few years to see. There
is the rumor going forward that there is going to be a reprisal of the Netflix Daredevil with a continuation on Disney Plus, with Charlie Cox returning at the helm of the blind lawyer superhero.
Right, and that sort of ties into the Hawkeye TV show.
Yes.
Which we saw. So you've seen the Hawkeye series,
have,
Nathaniel?
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I recently finished it with Josh, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting watching these movies because they all tie in to one another, and these two films have connections.
They do,
to say the least, but not the sort of connections I was anticipating. Much the same with the Spider-Man movie, which we're talking about.
Yes.
Do you think it can be too much of a good thing? I mean, it's sort of in the same vein of the fan service comment.
I really think too much of a good thing is probably doing an overabundance of references to the comics. Granted, they were really good, but this one felt very in-universey. Like, it felt like a connective universe.
Well, even the films, because I think, obviously bringing back the big stars of the previous films.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a good thing. I think this is definitely the MCU's Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, which was the big animated film they did a few years ago where different Spider-Man, different universes interacted. And that felt like a proving ground in a way for this.
It did. It very much did. And this really opens up the doors for many different things with the confirmation of Tom Holland's got 7 crossover films to do as Peter Parker.
Well, he's going to be busy, isn't he?
Very busy boy. Let's hope either Anthony Mackie or Benedict Cumberbatch can keep that mouth shut.
Let's hope. Yeah, I definitely thought that even just watching the trailer, it felt like an MCU Spider-Verse. Like I feel like there's probably going to be a lot more multiverse we're going to see.
Well, but it has gone live on the internet now. The Multiverse of Madness trailer is out for people to watch with the new Stephen Strange film.
Yeah, so for anyone who likes to sit through the credits, and not just give their thanks to the many thousands of people who work on these movies and stick around to see the post-credits scene. You don't need to with this one.
No, there's a mid-credit and then there's a trailer. That's all.
That mid-credits scene, I'm not too sure if it's brilliant or evil. I'm leaning towards...
It's both.
I think it's funny as well. Basically, we talked about the film Venom a few weeks ago with Tom Hardy, which finally came to Australia. Carnage. Yeah, so it does tie into that, and if you're kind of expecting something from that...
Funny how it all wraps around, because you and Ben did the first Venom film many moons ago.
Yeah, one of our unaired episodes that never saw the light of day. But it's funny you mentioned the trailer, because as I was watching this film, that trailer was just, sticking in my head. I think everyone saw it, where it kind of explains the setup and how things go wrong. And that 2-minute trailer kind of does what the first 30 minutes of this movie does.
Yeah.
Which kind of had me thinking as I was sitting in the cinema, are we going to reach a point where the films just go, you've seen the trailer, here's just, getting to the meat in the first 5 minutes of the film, rather than putting you through 40 minutes of waiting. Do you think that's ever going to be the case, or...?
We'll have to see when it comes to the future MCU films. I feel like, that is becoming a growing concern with trailers showing off a bit more of the film that they intend.
Mm. Well, Mum's always said, like, I don't need to watch the film now, I just saw the trailer.
But there are some bits that they are definitely keeping close to the chest, which the trailer cannot do justice.
Speaking of, the big secret as well, is one of those things where I wonder if it was always the plan, or if they heard fan reaction online and decided to implement it in the story. I guess we will never know.
We'll never know.
But it's, we can't talk too much about it because you haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's only been out for a week. It's still kind of in the spoiler zone.
Oh, yeah.
Though I am kind of glad but disappointed that they have to put up the poster twice in the film, one at the beginning and one at the end of "Be a friendly neighbor and don't spoil No Way Home."
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous that they should have to do that. It's like how in Deadpool they had to be like, also pick up your popcorn or your soda or whatever. And don't leave it around. Don't be a dick. I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. Why? Yeah. The movie shouldn't have to tell you to do that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of become the big event of film of the year, because it's coming out at the same time you had Star Wars movies coming out for the last 5 years.
Yep, and the movies are now on a long hiatus with the now going all to the small screen streaming.
But yeah, speaking of spoilers, you go online and that was kind of the fear. Some people I know just deleted their social medias to avoid spoilers for this film.
I think it was the 12 hours after it had come out in Australia, and I saw someone had recorded certain scenes on their phone and had uploaded them to YouTube.
It's funny, as I was walking here, there there was a young couple who were talking and they split up. I mean, they didn't split up, they didn't break up. But they went their separate ways, and the guy called out, "Oh, this character dies in the Spider-Man movie." And she was like,
"Bro."
Yeah, and it's like, "Oh, okay, that's oddly relevant."
Is very relevant. It's like the guy who walks out of the cinema like, who would have guessed that Darth Vader was Luke's father? Like, come on, dude.
Oh, I can only imagine what that would have been like in the 80s.
Oh.
It's funny, actually, we talked about that big reveal on the radio a few weeks ago, and we said, "Oh, we won't spoil that secret, even though it's a 40-year-old movie, just in case no one's ever seen it."
Exactly.
But yeah, final thoughts, I guess, Josh, or additional thoughts in regards to this movie?
Thumbs up. I'm probably from now on going to not be calling William Dafoe. I'm going to be calling him William the Goat. Greatest of all time. Yeah,
he's like I said, this has a lot there for those people who've been watching these movies for years or have, like I said, just seen them. It does wrap up some things from movies, that are over 10 years, in some cases 20 years old.
Yes.
Which we never thought we'd ever see a resolution to.
Oh, tell me about it.
Whether we see, this standing the test of time remains to be seen. This could just be flash in the pan, and in a few years' time we might be, oh, that was a bit weird.
A bit much.
A bit of an anomaly within the series.
What I've been seeing with a lot of people, and particularly with some Marvel fans that are big on Spider-Man, it has resonated with them quite a lot.
Yeah. And of course, you've kind of got the pre-existing comic audience and the pre-existing moving audience, but this is also open to general viewers who go in.
I think this is one of the few times where it actually is able to have its cake and eat it too. Yeah.
It does explain it, and I think, if they'd... I mean, Spider-Verse did the whole thing with new Spider-Man we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And, introduced them all, in a satisfying way.
I mean, air quotes, never seen before. If you're an avid comic reader, you would have seen them before.
I mean, it could be worse. We could have had Spiders, man.
Spider-Man. Oh, freaky dude, freaky.
Yeah. He's the spider. Actually, he's like the actual spider, isn't he?
No, Spider's Man. That's Man Spider. Spider's Man is Peter Parker fell into a vat of radioactive spiders, and then his subconscious was absorbed by the swarm, and it's now just a bunch of spiders in a suit.
Who believe
it's like million ants from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Spider's Man is the spiders, and they actually genuinely believe that they are Peter Parker as well.
Yes.
Oh. Well, that would have been. I mean, they've done a bunch of ants in these movies,
Yeah.
Bunch of spiders would probably be a bit much.
Yeah, he's
definitely
freaky
not for the arachnophobes.
Definitely not.
I definitely think that some of the spiders in Into the Spider-Verse, it's a bit odd. I mean, Spider Noir is gruesome. I saw the panel of a couple panels of the first Spider Noir. It actually shows Uncle Ben with his rib cage ripped open.
Oof.
Yeah.
Careful, mate. This is still public air radio.
Oh right. Well.
Yeah.
That's not.
And then in the movie they've just got in the movie they've just got Nicolas Cage talking about a Rubik's cube.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, I also spoke to some friends about Spider-Ham and how he was like, "That's all, folks." And I was like, "Can he say that?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, Spider-Ham was made by Warner Brothers, so he could say that as long as it was only him."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Spider-Man No Way Home is in cinemas, and it'll probably be on Disney Plus in a few months' time.
Give it time, and then.
It's not. None of the Spider-Man movies are.
A lot of the Spider-Man films are either on Amazon Prime or on Netflix, with Far From Home going onto Netflix as of January 4th.
Yes, we did just see that yesterday.
All the Tobey Maguire films, however, have been taken off Netflix.
You mean this new film is going to be on Netflix for free in a few weeks' time?
No, Far From Home.
Far From Home, right, the last one, right. Yeah, I was like, oh god, all these movies with all these similar titles.
Yeah. Also, I wouldn't exactly say for free, unless you are only just getting your trial month trial.
We're not sponsored by Netflix. We do not have in any form endorsement by Netflix.
So Hawkeye is the new Disney Plus series. It follows Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, the archery superhero, stuck in New York in the lead up to Christmas with a young woman, Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld, who idolizes him, and they get caught up in crime shenanigans.
Yes, they do.
We talked about episode 1 a few weeks ago, and episode 2 as well. They both released on the same day. We're going to sort of deliver our thoughts and sort of talk spoilers for the first 5 episodes, leave episode 6 a bit, you know. But basically, we've gone and got the big return of the Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who appeared in the Daredevil series, a series I've never seen, but you've just been watching, Nathaniel.
Yes, it's very good.
So obviously he appears in episode 6, but we won't really talk about the specifics.
He first appears in episode 5 in a brief photo on a phone.
What did you think of that, though?
I thought it was very, very good to see. I think he did a good job as Kingpin. Although, in fairness, having just seen Daredevil, I kind of don't like Kingpin. I kind of find him to be a hateable character.
Yeah.
Then they're doing a good job.
Yeah. It does show a good job, but at the same time, wow, I hate him. You know?
Yeah, it's an interesting position they put the character in, where I guess people like me who've never seen it, who are then going to go back and watch Daredevil. Is it a bit of a spoiler to sort of see, what seems to be the fate of a character before going back to see, I guess, their origin story?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It definitely does feel like, because there's 3 seasons of Daredevil, and there are a few things in the Hawkeye series. Well, I saw one particular thing that was like, oh, that's a spoiler right there.
Not to mention, Hawkeye seems to be dealing with a lot of Daredevil villains at the moment. With the reappearance of the Kingpin and Maya, one of the members of the Tracksuit Mafia, actually being the Daredevil villain Echo.
Who's getting her own series.
Yes. She's a completely deaf villain.
And the actress is deaf, and she speaks through American Sign Language, unfortunately.
Also,
she's
deaf.
That's actually a really good thing.
And she's actually an amputee. That's actually not a character comic thing. She's actually got the prosthetic leg.
You love to see it. I love to see it.
Yeah, so
It's utilized quite well.
it's another series which is just, I don't know how comprehensible it is to someone like like our producer Chris, who has never seen any of these, and yeah. It's a really fun, light-hearted Christmas series, this is.
It is, and it's actually now classified in the Christmas shows and specials and movies on Disney+.
It is.
Yeah.
I saw it right above all the Simpsons, the Christmas Simpsons episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I guess, after a few years of just some super heavy stories, with this universe,
It's
to
a
get something
fun
that's
romp.
a bit... Yeah. It's kind of similar tone-wise to the Ant-Man movies. I mean, you do get a bit of Ant-Man, references here and there.
With the pin particle arrow.
Yes.
Yeah, big old shrinking arrow or expanding
Growing
arrow.
yeah. Depending on the colour of the arrowhead.
Yeah, I feel like this was a bit slow, this series, though, at times. Like,
Yeah,
it could have just been a
definitely.
2-hour movie, which they elongated into a 6-hour series, and you do get an opportunity there to go a bit more into the characters and understand where they're coming from, but...
It really does help with with the character building, because you feel for Kate Bishop, you feel for Clint, who's trying to clean up the mess of left behind by the Ronin that he was briefly during the 5-year blip.
It's it's a lot going on. The character of Swordsman, played by Tony Dalton from Better Call Saul.
Yes.
What do you think about him?
I grew to love him, much like I did with Lalo in Better Call Saul.
Yeah, he's a very charismatic actor.
He's very dandy in this.
He's positioned to be this great big villain, and they do some interesting things with him.
He was good. I just couldn't tell whose side he was on. That was something I found. Like, is he good? Is he bad? What did he do? Because he was definitely in that auction, and that auction was definitely full of people who probably weren't on the good side of the law. And I don't know. By the end, I was like, is he good or not? I can't tell.
Yeah, he's an interesting actor, and I think it's the way he plays it. He's sort of, you never know where he's coming from, and when I guess fans go in anticipating him to be the villain,
The Swordsman.
Yeah, the comic fans, you've got the Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul fans who think, oh, he's a great villain in that, he's going to be a villain here, and obviously the series. The series sets him up to be a big villain, And yeah, it's kind of a weird one.
It is.
Yeah.
Though there are a lot of references in the comics, I did, on a rewatch of episode 2, notice that one of the LARPers from the NYPD was wearing a classic Hawkeye suit with hood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The,
With the H on it as well.
Oh, wow.
Only to be let down with the no Hawkeye wearing the classic suit at any point in the series. But hey, that's just me.
On a storytelling standpoint, we've kind of got the reveal that the Kingpin is the big villain behind this.
Yes.
Were there any hints prior to his reveal? I mean, of course, comic-wise, character-wise, you've got characters that have connections to him, but
Not
was it kind of out of
overly.
left field, or was it a bit...
It felt like they were building up to him with how that they were setting him up with the connection with Echo, but it did feel kind of left field. A welcome surprise, but a surprise nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just that I wasn't looking for things. I was just enjoying it, but yeah, I definitely kind of didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I think we were too busy making fun of the Truster Bro boys from the Tracksuit Mafia.
The trucks are trust bro.
Truster Bro.
Yeah, lots of Russian gangsters saying bro a lot.
Yes.
A lot, yeah.
Which we talked about back in our
In the original review,
first
yes.
episode review, where we thought they'd all be Kiwis, but Russians.
Yeah, no, bro.
Could have been interesting either way. Definitely.
They're really playing to the more criminal side of things with Hawkeye, and I am enjoying that more ground level fight. I mean, you had shows like WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki that were more bigger scale type of deal.
Yeah.
This one feels a bit more grounded, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah. I think, though, as well, these things, I mean, they're rewarding for the fans, but I just wonder how accessible they still are for a general movie-going audience or general TV-watching audience.
I don't think Hawkeye is very accessible for a general audience. You would have to have at least seen some of the Avengers films.
Yeah, I mean, it ties into Endgame, it ties into the Black Widow movie earlier this year.
It ties heavily into Black Widow.
Of course, the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
The Daredevil series, which isn't necessary watching. I mean, I went into this, but it does sort of have that character show up and of the Kingpin and sort of have him just like, oh, here he is.
You don't need to do the homework, but it makes you feel better if you have.
Yeah, I definitely was like, whoa, it's the guy, and it was actually played by the same person. I was like, wow, that's a welcome surprise. I mean, I don't like Kingpin, but that's still a fairly welcome surprise, yeah.
Yeah.
If I can do a mild spoiler for episode 6, I love the formal Hawaiian shirt he wears.
Yeah. That's a nice look, that one. A white suit with a red shirt. Yeah.
And little Hawaiian flowers all over it. It's like, yeah, I feel that.
I didn't mind the fedora either. That was
But enough on episode 6. That's only just come out.
yeah. We'll give some people time to watch that.
Yeah, it's it's interesting.
It is.
And I think it sort of stood out as one of those series where I don't think fans were really excited or interested in it because the character of Hawkeye is a bit divisive. He's not the most exciting character. But they set up a brand new character with Haley Steinfeld's character, Kate. And they actually made Hawkeye actually made me care for him.
They did.
That when they have a character they're trying to kill him, I was actually like, oh no, don't kill him. This is all...
Now that we've seen the Thunderbolts realized, because nearly every most recent show that we've had from Marvel has set up the Thunderbolts.
Who are they?
They're the sort of the redeemable villain category of the Avengers. They're the hard-flung fellas that are they're not like the Suicide Squad, but they're kind of on a similar premise where some of them are villains, some of them are not.
Right.
The Thunderbolts are led by Captain Thunderbolt Ross.
Ah, right, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Hawkeye was a part of them in the comics, wasn't he?
So was Yelena
That's right.
and Baron Zemo.
Oh, right, yeah, that's true. Lots of characters from the TV shows this year who tie into that. Speaking of...
Plus a conclusion with Kate Bishop with the Young Avengers.
That's true, yeah. Redeemable villains, though, you kind of get that a bit with both of these things. Where
Yes, you do.
you have characters who set on the straight and narrow.
Don't say Thanos. Don't do it.
No. Well, we did actually see that back in What If earlier this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting they've gone and done that where you've gone and got characters who are probably never going to show up again, like Ghost back in Ant-Man and the Wasp, who was a great little character who I don't think we're ever going to see again. And
I think she was part of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I don't even think that character exists in that form in the comics.
No.
But it's interesting they've gone and done that when they've been so happy to kill off villains for so long. And
makes me wonder if we'll actually get a Thunderbolt series in the future or a Thunderbolt movie.
Yeah, it can be too much of a good thing. But
That's
I
true.
wonder if they're going to do a bunch of stuff with the stuff they have. To be as vague as hell.
I'm still waiting for General Ross to Hulk out.
Yeah. Oh, maybe in future.
Maybe in future.
But anyway, that's our thoughts on Hawkeye. It's streaming on Disney+. Spider-Man No Way Home is currently running in cinemas. Hopefully we didn't spoil too much, and hopefully this made some kind of sense to someone who's never watched these movies or is falling behind. But anyway, I'm Royce.
I'm Joshua.
I'm Nathaniel.
And this has been the Geeks Review. We'll be back next week with the Book of Boba Fett. See you next time. Bye for now.